Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another story in the life of the old-time rock and roller. In today's story, we will take a ride with the Forrest McDonald Band to Memphis to the International Blues Challenge. Then you will go solo with Forrest to Ukraine. After Ukraine, Hong Kong, and after Hong Kong, mainland China. So strap in, it's going to be a great story. I just want to tell you how excited I am about the great response we've gotten for my friend Steve Perry and nominating him for the Kennedy Center Honors. We've probably had 800 people in a week nominate Steve. And if we keep this up, we'll get him across the finish line. So thank you all who have subscribed and help Steve in his efforts to gain greater recognition, which he surely deserves. Thanks so much. Blues was my first love, and I would always take the drive from Atlanta to Memphis every year. It's only a 7-hour drive, and watch the International Blues Challenge. Also, I would go there in May for the Blues Awards. So the previous year, 2014, I went down and I saw Eddie Cotton was competing. And this really surprised me because I had Eddie's Live at the Alamo album and thought he was really good. So I thought, I haven't played on Beale Street since 1985. I'd really love to bring the band down here. Now, in my whole life, high school, whatever, I was never in a battle of the bands that I won because they were all predetermined, like much of life. But that doesn't stop us from living our lives, right? So I had Becky Wright, who had sang backup on Turnaround Blues, Lee Gammon on the bass, and my old friend Brian Burkhoff from Memphis flew in to play the keyboards for us. Now, in order to get there, we actually had to enter a competition with our local blues society, play a half-an-hour set with 6 other bands and get judged, and we won, and were chosen to represent the River City Blues Society. I decided to go on a religious musical journey to Kiev, Ukraine. I booked a room, flew there overnight, checked into my hotel, and I went to the concierge, and I brought my latest CD, and I asked her if she would call around to the local restaurants and see if she could arrange a performance for me at their lunchtime. And she booked me a couple of shows, and it was a lot of fun and a very unique experience. I met quite a few musicians while I was there, and the music scene is completely different. But it was cool. Well, I would walk from my hotel about a mile to a very nice Italian place. And it was pretty cool. You'd go in and you'd give them your credit card, you'd scan the countertop, and then you'd just go over and start ordering. And they gave you a little card, and everything you ordered, you just swiped it, and at the end of the night, your bill was all totaled up and you were good to go. So as I walked back to the hotel, there was a mile-long line of performers, street performers. Single musicians, acoustic musicians, electric players, little bands, jugglers, dancers, acrobats, you name it. It was just a fabulous nighttime street scene. Late August, I believe.
на тебе, но я устал, окончен бой, беру портфель, иду домой, окончен бой, зачат огонь, и не осталось ничего, мы живем, а нам с тобой повезло. Это боль, как ее ты не назови.
So I went and got my guitar and got in the line and started playing like everyone else. It was American blues, so they weren't really used to that, and it was quite unique. I was right across, maybe a third of a mile from the big central square in Kiev, where the shooting took place just a year before that. And there were a lot of mafia types with AK-47s and such in groups, and I gave them a wide berth. Didn't want to come anywhere near them. So I started my tour of all of these churches, and man, they were fantastic. I mean, I'll post some pictures here. I met a friar there up in this big bell tower, and he let me ring the bell, and we shook hands and talked for a while. There was one particular holy spot that I went to, and there was an inscription, and it said, anybody who walks through these doors, 1/3 of all their sins will be forgiven. I walked back and forth 4 times just for good measure. I wanted to get a few forgivenesses for the future. So I went down to the Dampier River, I believe that's what it was called, and they had a zip line across the river. It was almost a mile. And man, that was exciting. The walk back was pretty darn long, and upstairs like I was climbing the Empire State Building. But I needed the exercise, it was good. So after a week there, I had completely rejuvenated my spirituality. And I got on the plane early the next day for Hong Kong. Well, we stopped for fuel in Moscow, and I had something to eat and grabbed a picture of me with the Moscow sign behind me, and then got back on the plane. Now, I had been studying Russian and Chinese as a hobby for a couple of years, so I got by okay in the Ukraine. Well, when we flew all night and arrived in Hong Kong, number one, you're a bit disoriented. And number two, to make the jump from speaking "Ya, немного по-русски," I speak a little Russian, to "Shishaojin Zainar," where is the bathroom in Chinese. Went to the hotel, and it was actually not a hotel. It was a real tall building, and they had many, many tiny little rooms that they rented out by the week. It had enough space for one single bed, and it was wide enough to walk in and put my suitcase down. Immediately I got out and started walking around and looking around, and I went down to the waterfront and saw the Bruce Lee statue and admired all of the architecture and the buildings. It was tremendous. But I was really looking forward to the 6 a.m. Tai Chi workout in the park. Everybody worked out for free. So I got up and went down there and jumped into line and met the instructor and told her I was from America and so forth. After the class was over, I walked to another section of the park where very seasoned martial artists were practicing a lot of forms, sword forms, spear forms, qigong, a lot of stuff. They really didn't want me taking any pictures. The next day I'd get up, I'd go to the Tai Chi, and then I'd sit in the park and I'd play guitar. And people would be walking along and they'd sort of stop and go, and then they'd walk off. And I took that to mean they liked it. Nobody attacked me with a spear or anything. So I took it all in, and at night, one section, not too far from where I was staying, there was a street, and they completely turned it into like an open air bazaar that had souvenirs galore, silk handkerchiefs and Buddhas and clothes and jewelry and handbags, anything you could think of. It was really cheap, and it was a lot of fun to go there. I planned a day trip to the Hong Fa Buddhist temple. It was the oldest temple in the area. Here's a layout of the compound. You can see it's enormous. The bus dropped us off here, and it was a long hike up to get the tickets. I mean, a lot of stairs and everything. It was the middle of August, and it was really hot, very humid. Hiking up the stairs, they had a big revival at the temple recently. There's the cauldron. I bought some incense and placed them in there for good luck. And then started looking at all the rooms. Look at that view of the mountains and the dragon on the corner of the building. I took a break here. The monks used to draw water from the lake to take to the temple. Look at that architecture. It's just stunning, very beautiful. Primitive life, simple life, but a life of a Buddhist monk. It was really an honor to go there. There's the Buddha with many hands, more rooms for worship. General Kuang Ti Fu. These carvings were brilliantly done. What colors? The Buddha with many hands. Now, the exit doors were kind of sacred. You weren't supposed to photograph them, I learned. That was the trip to the Hong Fa Temple. It was a great day, and I hiked probably 25 miles that day. There was a Chinese grandmaster named Sam Lau. He had studied with Ip Man. And if you watch the Donnie Yen movie of Ip Man 1, 2, and 3, you know who I'm talking about. I studied Wing Chun about 17 years, so I went there and waited till he showed up and said, hey, I was a student of Grandmaster Moyat, who was also taught by Ip Man. So he said, okay, you're a Kung Fu brother. You can work out with us. So I worked out in the class for a couple hours, and you know, there's no air conditioning. Hong Kong in the summer is brutal. So I was pouring sweat. Well, at the end of the night, he said, okay, I let you work out with us. Now, why don't you do something for the class and me? I said, sure, what is it? He said, well, since you're an American musician, why don't you go get your guitar and come back and perform for the class? I said, that's a great idea. I'll be right back. So I ran to my hotel and had a little trouble finding the place going back, because Kung Fu schools are not like on the first floor of the main street. They're down an alley, off a side street, up several steps, and you know, it's not easy to get there. So I walked in and he said, "Oh, I was beginning to think you weren't coming." So I said, no, I had a little trouble getting back. So I started playing my originals, played a lot of 10 songs or something, and everybody was very excited. And then finally, Sifu Sam said, "Do you know any Elvis?" And I said, "Sure." And I jumped right into All Shook Up. To my surprise, he started singing right along with me. And when I got to the last line, "Hey, yay, I'm all shook up," he sang it right with me. It was just tickling. And the students jumped up and they all had their cameras and their iPhones, right? And they wanted to take my picture or my picture with them or Sifu and me and like this. So it was a half an hour photography session at the end. So I spent a week in Hong Kong. It was really a marvelous experience. They speak Cantonese there. I had a visa to go to mainland China where they speak Mandarin. Got on the subway train, crossed over into the mainland, went through the custom line, and when I had booked my hotel, I saw that you could see the train station from the big hotel. So I was thinking it was going to be really close. If you've ever been to a foreign country, there's always people who go, American, let me help you out. I get everything you need. You need a ride? Come with me. I'll take care of you. You guys stay away. He's with me. So we got in the car. It was a little bit rainy. And he drove me around Shenzhen for about 45 minutes. Finally pulled up at the hotel and I think it was $50 to get there. Okay, fine. So I got in, checked in, went up to my room and was relaxing. I walked out to the hall. I was going to get something to eat and a couple of bottles of water. I looked out the big window and there was the train station right across the street. What I didn't know was there was, one of those pedestrian walkovers that kind of was a bridge. It went up and over and into the back of the train station. So I could have walked there in 10 minutes, but you can't fault a guy for wanting to make a buck, right? Grandmaster Jun Chen was on my list of people to visit in Shenzhen. She was training for the World Tai Chi Championship in Beijing, doing her famous Tai Chi sword form. So that was a great experience to get to talk to her. There are many sections that at nighttime, maybe 10,000 people descend on it because there are stores selling, little diamond jewelry for $20 and necklaces and t-shirts and just everything you could imagine. And they had the most delicious fruit. I don't know if it was a watermelon, it was kind of like a cantaloupe, but I had a lot of those while I was walking around that sell it on a stick. I had a great time and bought a lot of souvenirs. So I wanted to go to the famous electronic area. Got on the subway, went out there. Well, it's not the subway, it's a train. And you're packed in like a sardine, but it was very, very clean and very fast. So I got to the stop and walked about a mile to get to Electronics District. Now the buildings around there are spectacular. I mean, the architecture is something else. When I went into this one building, it was like the Hitachi building or something. On the first floor, all hard drives and basic computer parts. And the second floor were security cameras of every type. And the third floor was phones of all kinds. And the fourth floor was all kinds of accessories. I was taking so many pictures, I needed a massive thumb drive. And I said, hey, can you make me a 2 terabyte thumb drive? And the guy said, sure, but it will take me an hour, okay? I said, okay. He said, you look around and meet me back here in an hour. So he went to the first floor and the second floor and the third floor, got all these parts, put the thing together, and I bought 2 of them. It was unbelievable. So I loaded up with stuff. All of the little street vendors had these battery-operated headsets with microphones and these cheap little boxes, but they were speakers and you could be heard above the crowd. So I bought one just as a novelty. Time flies when you're on your own. I mean, you're away from home, thousands of miles, no distractions, and I'd be up in my hotel room and you're at home and you say, oh, I've got to get on Facebook. I got to get on YouTube. I got to answer this email. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to, you've always got stuff to do that's pounding in your brain. Well, when you're traveling like that, that's all gone. And it's very peaceful. I mean, it was really nice. But after, 20 days on the road, I started getting a little lonely. So I wrote this song called Windy City Blues.
Windy City Blues. I've got to face the facts. I got them Windy City Blues. I've got to face the facts. I gave my love to a woman, and she never gave it back.
But it was about Chicago and blues, and when I finished it, I felt like I was home. It was really cool. In fact, I put it on my Blues in a Bucket CD, and Andrew Black sang it and did a hell of a job.
Oh, come tumbling down.
So I flew back to America and picked up with the band, and we played regionally until it was time to go to Memphis.
The Forrest McDonald Band won the River City Blues Challenge and will be representing Richmond at the International Blues Challenge in January in the home of the blues, Memphis, Tennessee. Right now, for your listening pleasure, here are Forrest McDonald and band vocalist Becky Wright with River of Tears.
The ground was dusty, parched and bare. First came a stream, but now there's a river there. And after all these years, all I've got is a river of tears. From you, yes, from crying over you. I gave you my heart and my good loving too. But now it's all in the past. Only a river of tears will last. I remember about me and you. We had some good times and some hard times too. You said goodbye and that we were through. Now I'm downhearted, baby, singing the blues. to go after put me down. We couldn't see the future, never mind the past. We never touched the ground, we were moving too fast. The ground was dusty, parched and bare. First came a stream, but now there's a river there. And after all these years, all I've got to show is a river of tears. All I've got to show is a river of tears. My heart's been torn into a river of tears. I'm so broken and so blue, and it's all on account of you.
That is vocalist Becky Wright and Forrest McDonald from the Forrest McDonald Band. They'll be representing Richmond at the International Blues Challenge in January.
Now, my old friend from Memphis who lived in Phoenix, Brian Burkhoff, he was my first Kung Fu student, by the way. He's a really good keyboard player. He flew out and said, hey, I'll do it with you. We had 1 day practice, and we drove down to Memphis. So there we are with 287 other bands from all over the world competing in the International Blues Challenge. Our first night was on Beale Street at B.B. King's, and I hadn't played there since '85, and I was really looking forward to it. Now, I've never been in a battle of the bands or anything like that that was fair. I'll just come out and say it. There's a certain... So anyway, I wasn't going there to try and win the competition. I was just going there to play some blues on Beale Street, have a good time, and show the band what it was like. So we were playing at B.B. King's the first night. We put on a great show. And Becky got in an argument with her boyfriend all night. And standing outside and whatnot. So the next day, she was really sick. That wasn't good. We got through to the last song, and we were in the last chorus of the last song, and her voice just kind of shut off. Like that. But we got through the night, and we were good enough to advance from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. So everyone was very excited about this, because if you got through the next night, you're in the finals at the Orpheum Theater. I didn't even expect to get through the quarterfinals, really. Becky developed a very bad cold and basically lost her voice. So it was a double challenge for us. The second night, though, we played at B.B. King's, and on our last song, Riding on the Blues Train, her voice just totally gave out. But we got a great applause, and our score was big enough to move to the semifinals.
Come on, y'all. Help me out with this. Put your hands together. I'm gonna sing it to you. Ride, 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 ride. Ride on the blues train. Ride, 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 ride. Ride on the blues train. Come on, help us out. Sing along with us. Gonna ride, 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 ride. Ride on the blues train. Ride, 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 ride. Ride on the blues train. Yeah. Ride, 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 ride. Ride on the blues train. One more time. Ride, 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 ride.
Thank you very much. River City Blues Society, Forrest McDonald.
There were only like 50 bands left out of the 287. We took in all of the sites, and there's a music store called Memphis Memories. They've been selling my CDs since 1999, and Dr. Malcolm, he owns the store, and I always look forward to seeing him. And I ran into Bobby Rush there too, an old friend of mine. So the next night we were playing at Wet Willie's, and we were second to last. The crowd was packed. I mean, you could barely walk through the place. We got up on the stage. I looked down. I saw a lot of my friends there. And we played a really good set. We got off, and the last band, who was the Memphis Blues Society's winner, so they're the hometown favorite, right? Southern Avenue, they got up and they beat us out and went to the finals. But I did hear that on total points to that point, I think we were 14th out of 278. Not bad, but like I said, I wasn't there to compete as much as I was just there for the experience and to play. Well, we drove back home, and everybody was really upbeat, and we thought, hey, this was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do it again next year. And as a matter of fact, we did. But I'm going to end the story here now. I want to thank you for coming along with me to Memphis, to the Ukraine, to Hong Kong, to mainland China, and back. And I just want to remind you, if you like, hit the like and subscribe and tell your friends and share with the world. Everybody says that. But you're only going to do that if you feel like it. So my words for you are thanks for coming along, and keep love in your heart. Always keep a song in your head. And I will see you down the Story Highway on the next adventure of the old-time rock and roller. So long, my friends.